What is happening, my dear viewers? A lot of life things happened near the end of last year, both good and bad, personal and professional. So we're kicking things off here as if there wasn't a 3-month gap between these videos. I gotta get these races out of the way to talk about all the updates I got going on with this channel, but before I can go over those, I need to get through this monster of a video. So let's go. A quick recap. We are on a high after seeing the checkered flag 2 100% races in a row without the use of any sort of assist, flashback, or race restarts, which is a big deal for a driver at my level. Well, as long as we don't talk about what happened to Ocon, I guess.
From the terminal, they're retiring the car.
Moving on. So as you know, I let the engineers put all the upgrades on automatically for me, and yet we still have some failed upgrades. Still, we pull ahead of AlphaTauri going into the next race weekend. Even more failed upgrades. The game gives me a chance to choose my already real-life rival, Logan Sargent, to be my first in-game rival. You are going down, my American brother in arm. I set the difficulty to 88 for practice, and just as I'm getting my feet warm after 2 weeks off the rig, the unthinkable happens on my first outlap for the first practice session.
Are you okay? That was a big one.
I guess since I have 2 checkered flags under my belt, this is probably the most embarrassing thing that happened to me in my career so far. Let's keep it that way. So with absolutely no practice at this track, I head straight to qualifying after raising the difficulty to 90. I ain't no chump. And to my own surprise, I knock in a decent 120.7 from our first flying lap. A good 4/10ths faster than the Hulk, and way ahead of Logan, the little bitch. I try it one more time at the end of the session as there is definitely more time to be found, but alas, I end my lap early by going wide at the first chicane. Despite that, I just managed to edge into Q2 by 12 thousandths of a second for the second time in a row with my banker lap. Unfortunately, Nico, my teammate, is not able to follow and he falls back just over a 10th slower than me. So far, I am 2-1 against my teammate in quali. For my first banker lap in Q2, I used the first set of sauce from Q1 as I don't really expect to get into Q3 and I hope to save a set for the race. Thanks to an error at one of the last corners, I put in a 120.8, slower than my Q1 lap. So there is definitely time to be found, and I consider using up the aforementioned set of tires to try and get into Q3. But seeing my time get pushed down, I decided otherwise and used the second set I should have used in Q1 before my track limits warning. None of that probably made sense, but none of it really mattered ultimately at the end, as I nearly binned the car coming out of the last corner thanks to some randomly generated ice on the curb. Sim damage in this game seems very random as I feel like that should have taken off my wheel, or at least my entire front wing. Doesn't really matter as it's enough for me to obviously abort my lap and fall down to P15. I still beat Logan and that's all that really matters at this point. Going into the feature race, I keep the AI at 90, as I expect a lot of mistakes on my end from the lack of practice, and I really don't want to tread water for 2 hours trying not to drown and keep up with the faster cars. Alright, the cars have lined up on the grid. We got our iPad to kill our boredom as we wait for the festivities to begin. A smooth formation lap sees us to the red lights lighting up. The lights are off and the cars are off racing here again at Albert Park. A decent getaway from driver Simon. The McLaren in front of me is stalled, giving us the free position. But we are side by side with Aston Martin going into turn 1, and I thought I gave enough room going to the next chicane, but the frustrated hand of driver Simon proves otherwise. Got a little wobbly on exit, giving Stroll the chance to fight back going into T3. After a nice brief side-by-side moment, we managed to stay ahead. P12.
That start was okay, now stay alert for threats around you.
A terrible exit onto chicane bring forth an Alpine to contend with. But we managed to fend him off easy. Alright, let's put our head down and catch up to the gaggle of cars ahead. We have a chance at our first points here. The cars behind are quick though, and I have to be mindful of the random attacks. The AI do a much better job at avoiding players' dive bombs this year. but will sometimes throw their own spontaneous dive bombs that usually take you out if you're not paying attention. So I guess there's a bit of a trade-off, and to be honest, I prefer an aggressive AI over a complacent one, as most human drivers are probably very impulsive. Any boop, let's find our rhythm here and get in the zone, which is the hardest part of these 100% races. It looks like a gap is about to form between me and Stroll behind, but of course, he somehow pops right back in once DRS is online. We fend the feisty Canadian off, despite some wheel spin at the cost of more time from the cars ahead. That did cost Stroll P13 from one of the AlphaTauris, who is on my rear wing by the beginning of the next lap. Another bit of contact, but he has the inside line and he is off with the DRS. A hungry Stroll with DRS as well easily passes me, or does he? Whew, another nice wheel-to-wheel moment with him, and never mind. Oh shoot, oopsies. Dang, that felt and looked like a realistic crash.
Engine off and wait for the marshals.
Oh. Damn. I am out of the race before really getting in the zone. And not only that, I unfortunately took an innocent Stroll out of the race as well. That's 2 drivers I've taken out so far this season. My list of drivers that hate me is growing. Just a random bit of oversteer coming out of that right hand set me off the track and pinballed me into the barriers a few times. What a crash. My first one of the season, and boy is it a big one. Anywho, we of course retire and Sergio takes home the prize, with a nice diverse podium of Ferraris and Mercedes. Quite a bit of DNFs in this race actually, with the world champion Max being one of them, and look at that, Nico got lapped. Damn, are we really that far behind? Alrighty then, let's pack it all up and head on to the next race weekend at the second geopolitically iffy country of this season, which so happens to be one of my favorite tracks, Azerbaijan, our first sprint race as well. The engineers managed to get on a durability and tire upgrade on before we head on off to free practice 1. Oh, and of course, driver Simon has to make the difficult choice of choosing a charity event or your powertrain department meeting. To be honest, I need all the driver acclaim I can get off track if I want to make it to summer break. So, sorry boys. Plus, it's a charity, come on guys. Gotta help the sick folks or something. Despite needing as much acclaim as I just mentioned, I still have some integrity and we skip any supercar bullshit I haven't even tried since last year's game. I mean, like, I haven't even fully unlocked F1 World yet, so I still got some integrity. And much like the last race weekend, I have a moment on my initial out lap. Thankfully, no, I did not crash the car, but boy, did I poop my pants and I actually had to use the escape road to live. I can't quite do a clean 180 in this game, but that'll do. Not to spoil anything too early into this video, but I'm going to get to know that escape road real well this weekend. It was actually quite an eventful free practice 1 with quite a few moments. Things were looking good on our first practice program, but I come a little too hot going into turn 1 and nearly end my session there. I feel like that would have been another DNF, but the inconsistency in sim damage continues to save me. I tried to bail out and drive into the escape road, but again, I was too late. On the next race strategy program, I have another visit to my favorite escape road, this time without the nice 180 spin out. After failing said practice program, I lose the rear on my in-lap and pay the price. Alright, that's the last of my mistakes during free practice. Actually, just kidding, I totally forgot I took the car out on heavy load for an actual practice at finding a rhythm, and all things were going well, as I was even getting some good practice tucked behind another car, but as usual, I forget how much more you gotta brake when in the slipstream and DRS of another car. Oof, that could have been bad. But that's why we do this in free practice and not in the feature race. Sorry, buddy. But again, my car is somehow still in perfect condition, so I drive for another few laps before the session ends. Okay, qualifying. Let's put in our race engine, bump up the difficulty 98, and head on to the track. Under pressure from that interview, I nearly end my day early going through my favorite section on the calendar by pinballing around the castle section. Thankfully, no cars were behind me because that place can be such a clusterfuck with traffic. After a quick visit to the garage and off we go to put in a 144.8. A solid time to put us in P17. We have a chance to get into Q2 again, so we go out on a fresh set of boots, but I mistimed my release and I missed the checkered flag by like 10 seconds. P20 it is, I guess. 8 tenths behind the Neeks, and more importantly, 5 tenths behind Logan. 2-2 with Nico, 3-1 with Logan. Thankfully, we have a chance of redeeming ourselves with the sprint race. The AI is kept at 98 with Max leading the way as usual. 17 laps on these medium tires. Nothing of note in the formation lap except I attempt my first 360 of the season. Emphasis on attempt. Yeah, I was able to do them in F122, but not in this game. Alrighty then. The 5 lights are off and we are off sprint racing for the first time this season. A mediocre getaway for driver Simon, but we somehow pick up speed to get along the inside of like 4 cars, netting us P18 as we go side by side with an Alfa Romeo. It is rush hour here in Baku as I'm stuck behind a Williams going into T2. We all somehow managed to squeeze through even with an Alfa to our rights, and now it is a wild free-for-all going into T3. Okay, oh man, I'll be honest. My brain kind of froze up as I considered going up the inside and then realizing I had to go to the inside, otherwise I'd crash into the Williams, but then I had to play dodge cars in order to just survive. Whew, I think I even clipped Joe in the process. Man, like I said, I do love this escape road though. Unfortunately, I think I damaged the rear wing as I backed up into the barrier. But at least we got ourselves a VSC to give us a hand. I managed to catch up to the pack by the time the VSC ends and off we go. Never really lost anything starting back from P20. And thanks to some AI tussling, we are back within range by T3.
VSC ending, we're going green. Maintain positive delta until the green flags.
Damn, Mark, you're freaking slow. Like, I know it's hard being a race engineer and all, but I need you to be better. Okay, honey? Okay? Okay. Enough with the passive aggressiveness. I'm having a hard time keeping up with the cars ahead, and I have to use a lot of battery just to try and stay in the DRS. Looks like Nico isn't having too good a time either. Damn, really? Our first mechanical DNF of the season. And my first in-game DNF as well, as I actually had a DNF due to hardware failure back in F2. The Hulk somehow manages to snag a P14 though. Nice one, teammate. Mercedes managed to have an even worse day than me, I guess, with a double DNF. And I guess I lost some acclaim for my troubles as well. Looks like it was an MG UK that failed. Well, might as well take some engine penalties on the chin now since I'll be starting at the back regardless. I am employing the Ben Daily Honest Engine Component policy, where I won't order a new component until I run out of them, or cheese the game and stack penalties as much as I can. Alright, we made it to race day. Let's get this shit done and redeem ourselves from our first blunder of the season back in Australia. Let's see a checkered flag today.
Davidson, a lot of talented drivers out on the track today.
But first, let's see what the strategy department has on the menu for us today. Wow, a 3-stopper. Soft, soft, soft hards. Can I cook something up from this? I try to remove a stint and replace the last stint with a set of mediums, and that projects an hour and a half and 27 seconds of racing today. It's only 3 seconds slower than a 4-stopper.
Hards, actually.
Most other cars are also starting on softs, with a select few on hards. This should make for some interesting mid-race strategies. After yet another incident-free formation lap, we ready ourselves for the 5 red lights to turn off to signify the beginning of the race. And there it is! Someone turned them off, and despite being surrounded by Mercedes, we get a good slot into T1. A little hesitation for both Hamilton on the Alpha ahead, so I stick my wheel in, getting another place coming out of T2. I considered dive bombing the Mercedes ahead, going into T3, but I decided to hold off as I have another hour and a half of racing still to do, so I do it in T4 instead. Noise. But if there is a time to bust some moves, it is on a lap on a narrow track like this. The AI brakes so early in some parts, just begging you to overtake them. So we managed to get into P17 by the 3rd sector, ahead of the 2 Mercedes. I don't suspect that'll last long though, especially when they go for moves like that, good lord. That's one of the toughest breaking points on the calendar for me, and I have no idea how we both got through scot-free. But man, that is some nice wheel-to-wheel racing. But of course, unfortunately, that is at the cost of the cars ahead. By the end of lap 2, they are nowhere to be seen while I'm still fending off a feisty Hamilton. Interestingly enough, they are no match for my Ferrari-powered Haas on the straight.
We can now use DRS. DRS now available.
But we'll see how they do with some DRS. Still nothing. Interesting. By lap 4, I am sandwiched by the Mercedes of George and Lewis. A terrifying place to be while driving 300 plus kph. But otherwise, it would probably be great to be the meat in the English sandwich like that. Good God! Enough about buns. Somehow we make it out with George getting the best of us.
Okay, watch the aggression, please. We don't want to lose places because of a penalty.
And now that I got the DRS, I got something to say about that. Just kidding, I'm too scared. In hindsight, 2020 vision, I should have taken my chance, as little did driver Simon know at the time, he will never get the chance again. Wow. Hamilton overtakes me with a nice dive bomb up the inside. But I learned my lesson about being complacent, so I tack Hamilton right back. And I managed to get it done against a 7-time world champ. Unfortunately, George is long gone by now.
And gap to the car in front is 3.8 seconds.
Trying to be smart with this, I let him by without a fight this time since I don't want to drain all my batteries so early in the Grand Prix. But of course, that complacency cost me big time again when it begins to pull away due to some error induced to tire wear. I'm forced to use the battery, which is what I originally wanted to avoid, to get back into DRS momentarily. So this is a good lesson for Driver Simon's internal strategy department. Take note, boys, don't be complacent, because by lap 8, Hamilton is long gone, so my in-game strat team suggests the original 3-stopper. And seeing as I shouldn't trust my instincts right now, I confirm the change. Could I have lasted another 4 laps on these aging tires? Probably not. I'm going to take a bit of a moment in this super long video to make a tangent about something positive about this game for once. Yeah, that's right. There are some positives to a Codemasters game in 2024, contrary to what people online want you to think. I started with F1 2020 on console, and seeing the evolution of tire degradation has been a joy to experience. Hopefully by next year's game, the tire will have a more gradual fall in grip rather than suddenly feeling like you're wearing socks on polished hardwood floor the moment your rear is hit 23% wear. Just fix your other shit, Codies. Speaking of fresh tires, the Alfa Romeo makes easy work of me with their durable hards.
In this lap, push now.
You suck. Damn, really? Is it something about my braking technique or the AI level being too low that causes them to seemingly brake check you at the apex of the corner whenever they're slightly inside the racing line? Jeddah was another egregious example of this.
I also realized in hindsight how heated I sound in the replays.
Yeah, that too. Let's keep it chill, Driver Simon. It is just a game, right?
That's just LA commuter in me.
Anyways, we boxed with no issues and we joined at the back of the pack on lap 12. I am terrible with outlaps and I tend to lose a ton of time compared to the AI. It takes me a few laps to feel the new grip, but by that time, I'm nowhere near where I should be.
Sergeant's ahead of you. Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by. 3.8 seconds. They're on fresh soft.
By lap 14, the hard boys start the box from the sounds of it, and I'm nowhere in the picture. I just had to trust the strategy and put my head down and drive. It should all work out in the later stages of the race if I do my part and be consistent. But that can be hard to do when no one warns you about an impending Alfa Romeo coming up on the inside out of nowhere. A surprise slap ass, but I somehow managed to keep the car pointing straight. I have no idea where I went wrong in my race strat to end up here. Like most people, I am way more consistent when following behind a car. But of course, I have a moment at one of the hardest braking points on the calendar for me. Oh, big walk up. There goes my front wing. We have to change strat again and box for a new wing. Let's get on a set of mediums.
Right, let's go, come on. Perfect job from you and the crew there, mate. We're delighted with that. Up to...
One of our main rivals this season, Alfa Romeo of Bottas, retires due to mechanical failure, giving us a free place. Man, I'm gonna miss saying that name.
Okay, information on Bottas. Right, they've got a serious car issue. It looks like they're retiring. Our gap to the car in front is 12.5 seconds.
Lap 19. We are 12 seconds behind the next car. Actually, let's make that 13 seconds.
Ricardo ahead. Okay, gap ahead is 13.7 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 2 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. And the time last lap was a 1 minute 47.1.
Head down, boys.
No! Oh my god. I was doing so well. On my pace.
So after about 5 laps of racing, I try to find out the gaps to the cars ahead, but Mark's brain starts to break.
We're last of the running cars right now. It's Ricardo ahead of you. Okay, so the gap to the car ahead, 0.1 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops.
This is one of the biggest issues when driving in VR in this game. There are no options to turn on a HUD. For times like these where the already unreliable radio decides to break completely, I am completely left in the dark in the middle of a Grand Prix. Other sim racing titles like Project Cars 2 give me an option to cycle through the HUD much like we are able to cycle through the MFD. Anyways, I digress. That is a topic for another video entirely that will probably release at the end of this game's lifecycle as we wait on for F124.
Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by, 0.8 seconds.
Lap 26. The cars start boxing and I finally see another car after spending a fifth of the Grand Prix as a loner. Joe's got one more stop, as do I. So I managed to catch up to the pack, but with a severe tire disadvantage. I don't care though, it's just nice finally driving in the dirty air of another car. But damn, he's off before I get DRS on him. We do get a place from another car, I believe Sargent, who's now behind us on a new set of softs.
Okay, so the car behind's just come in. They're now on the soft tyre. Soft tyres on the car behind.
As long as I finish in front of my rival, it's a win for me. But in a few laps time, his tires are nice and warm and he closes a 3-second gap and we begin another scrap for last place. Do let me know, dear viewers, if I was allowed to make that inside lunge. He was a full car ahead of me, but I wanted to push him into a mistake. The battle is not over as my tires are screaming. Oh man, okay. That contact was my fault. No question about that. We are an hour in the race and Logan and I are battling it out. Former F2 teammates, now bitter F1 rookie rival.
Gap to your teammate ahead is 16.9 seconds.
Alright, here we go for the 3rd lap in a row. Side to side with Sargent at turn 1. We do this cleaner with every lap. Again, dear viewers, please do roast me in the comments if I drive like an unhinged Verstappen wannabe sim racer. I wanted to make sure I had proper but not complacent racing etiquette when I graduate to racing real humans. Alright Logan, 4 times the charm I guess, and I am making the conscious choice to race him and conserve my battery rather than drain it just to stay ahead. But my, oh my, driver Simons inconsistently comes back to bite the whole team in the ass, the goddamn ass muncher it is. I come in too hot, and I have to bail into my favorite escape road after a fierce 5-lap battle with Logan. God damn it. It is such a sinking feeling when you bottle what would have been a redeemed race after an earlier model. Finding a decent result after a terrible start is a great feeling, one that I've been having to get used to due to how bad my racecraft is at the start of the Grand Prix. And driving 100% race distance allows for more redeeming results, but man, this is just golden. I was also supposed to see these mediums to the end apparently, but at least I know that's not going to happen with the Logan Racing. Oh, also, I don't know if you noticed, because I certainly didn't until watching the replay, but my team never changed my front wing. This mistake has cost me the F2 championship already, and here I am making the same mistake twice. I get so tunnel vision that I didn't even notice they never put on a new wing during the pit stop, nor did I remember to change the setting in the MFD.
How do I not notice this stuff?
I decided to box since these mediums are getting sketchy, and yet again, I forget to change the wing setting and did not notice that they only changed my tires again. Man, watching driver Simon in the replay, aka me, it is very frustrating at times when writing out these scripts. In this case, it's almost been 2 months since recording this batch of races, so I actually forgot what happened, and I'm reliving my mistakes with you. Any boop, none of that really matters though, as I have another moment with my favorite high-speed chicane, nearly killing driver Simon in the process.
That looked bad. Are you alright? Let me know you're okay.
God damn it.
I just love crashing here. I end up crashing here a lot near the end of a long race, as I start to tire out from driving, and I mistimed the second right-hander. So a very disappointing and anticlimactic result for us yet again, here at Azerbaijan. I also forget to switch off my camera, so I apologize for the block screen. The one consolation I have is that this at least makes somewhat good content. Otherwise, it is such a blue ball feeling when you don't get a result in a single player race, but this 100% realistic career mode keeps me going. A very disappointing result for the American team, with Nico also losing places to our rivals. Oof, that hurts to look at.
All the races that matter, I'm losing.
If I end up losing to Logan for my first rivalry, my career is not off to a good start. I mean, finishing 50% of the races so far is a pretty terrible start too, I guess. So let's just make it to summer break, shall we? Alrighty, boys and girls, let's pack it all up once again and head on home. Like, actually home for me. Miami is next.
Get humbled
but that's literally on the other side of the continent for me, so not really home. Close enough, I guess. That's right, dear viewers. It's gonna be a super long one. We're heading to Miami as well. I gotta get these races out so I can record more. I should have told y'all to grab some popcorn at the beginning of the video, so I do apologize. But at the same time, you saw the video length and still clicked on it, and those of you who are still around listening to this, I thank you. Genuinely. Seriously. This personalized shout out is for you and you guys only. Big smooches, guys. Anyways, I digress. Before we head off to GTA 6, the engineers throw on a durability upgrade and we switch out the practice engine. Oh, and we fail another aero upgrade. So far, I think our upgrade success rate is about 50%. I dropped the AI to 88 as Miami is one of my slower tracks and we'd have to endure a wet practice session. I'm trying to keep this as realistic as possible, so I decided to try and use the wet session to build a wet setup template to take to other tracks. One thing I never really mentioned, but I started the season off with one dry and one wet Bahrain setup I got online and been using those as templates for the rest of the season. I know nothing of setups and sometimes will incorrectly set up my car for the race, giving up some free time to my competitors. Any boop, practice programs go as smoothly as I possibly can make them as the weather starts to dry off.
Weather report.
Okay, radar is clear, weather is looking good for now. We're not certain which is the best tyre right now, dries or inters.
I actually did a race strategy program twice, as it actually does provide a better race strategy for the future race. All in all, an incident-free session for us all. Always a positive for everyone. Let's head to quali. We put in a decent 131 flat for our banker lap, which ends up being a very solid deposit. Still, we put in a career high of P8 that are not really home Grand Prix.
Wow. Our best qualifying position yet. What'd you do? Ooh, Ricardo, what'd you do?
What's going on with the Australians, huh? I actually love how dynamic the career mode can be compared to past F1 games. AI actually make mistakes outside of the race and can get penalized for it. But come on, Nico. Am I the quali man for the team? I mean, I guess I can't really say shit though. Driving one lap fast is a walk in the park compared to finishing a full race distance Grand Prix. Yeah, I'll keep my millennial mouth shut. Our third Q2 session of the season. We put in our first set of softs from Q1, and thanks to some outlap traffic, I immediately had to eat what I just said about the AI.
Oh, yo, why'd you hit me? Girls here, come on.
Good God, man, was that Ocon getting revenge? Bodywork takes so much longer to repair compared to a wing, and we only had 15 minutes for Q2.
Bro.
Dear viewers, do tell me who was wrong for that one. Please let me know, as I was making space for the Red Bull, and there comes Ocon flying in on the inside. Because apparently, the stewards take Ocon's side as well. I get a 5-place grid penalty for that action. What a showing for my not home Grand Prix. What a career so far, guys. Can I redeem myself somehow? Maybe, because I actually put in a 130.2, which puts me in a hopeful P8. Dare I make it to Q3 for the first time while holding on to a 5-place penalty? I decide to save that set of softs as it can get pretty spicy with crashes and traffic with this track, and I get pushed down to P11. Still ahead of, wow, Fernando? How did Danny get ahead too? Wow, what a lineup for tomorrow's race. Can driver Simon prove his critics wrong at his not home Grand Prix and score points for the first time this season to emerge from back-to-back DNFs? Race day. Here we are for the third time this super long video.
Superb parking there, mate. Let's make sure we get the edge on the surrounding drivers as the lights go out.
Will this video's storyline have a satisfying ending? A classic 3-act structure, if you will, with the hero at their lowest point during Act 2 so the victory is more rewarding, more sweeter when there has been sacrifice and growth to achieve that goal. That's what we were raised to believe based on the stories we are told. We love it for a reason, but let me end that fantasy right now. This is real life. This is racing. Sim racing, but you know what I mean. Despite a very strong start and working my way up to the points in P9, I make a catastrophic mistake coming out of turn 2, only 5 laps in the Grand Prix.
Wow, that was a heck of an impact. Let me know you're okay.
God damn it. Are you fucking kidding me? Come on.
Mistake or another instance of spontaneously spawning patch of ice? You decide. Regardless of the cause, I am out of the race yet again. Thankfully, only taking myself out this time.
What was it? How did I lose it back in? What's going on?
I am sorry to blue ball you all, my dear viewers, but that is how it is in real life. A satisfying ending rarely ever occurs and is one of the reasons why I fell in love with motorsports as of late. It is raw and unforgiving and brutal, where entire championships can be lost over a single loose nut. It can be so brutal to the point where when championships do rise with just the skin of their teeth across a year of racing, it really does feel like something out of a movie. But that is not this case. I am not a Lewis Hamilton. I am not a Max Verstappen. I am driver Simon. Not Simon. A disappointing result for me. Nico managed to gain a place and not get lapped, so a decent result for him, I guess. As of writing this script, it has been 2.5 months since stepping into this Haas. I had a lot of personal and professional things come up at the end of 2023, which put off editing this video. One of those things is I did purchase a new chassis, my first 80/20 rig, and have been getting hours on it with my team career mode. I am very excited to hop back into a career mode with no flashbacks and actual consequences now that I have a chassis that does not flex one bit, so I can build a new level of consistency. A review of the chassis is on the way as well, so stay tuned for that. But that is all for the next race weekend at Imola, one of my favorite tracks so far. I hope you enjoyed this super long and anticlimactic video, and hope again that you do subscribe so I do see you in the next video. But if not, I'll probably see you never. Toodles.